Hotel brothers and sisters, Black Power. As always, giving honor to the Creator, giving honor to the ancestors. Chief of Staff, Brother Harris Abdul of the Street Law Soldiers. My father, my in-laws, my subscribers, my viewers, my supporters, my donors, family members, and all of our brothers and sisters that are fighting for the liberation and salvation of our black nation. First of all, I haven't been doing anything for a few minutes based on the fact that I'm not even going to discuss what took place dealing with these devils. However, we're going to continue to keep on rolling. We're going to continue to keep fighting because that's the type of people we are. Always, you have to be resilient against these devils. Nevertheless, let's start off with sending some of our energy to the brother Avant, R&B singer, who apparently is dealing with some type of illness that is supposedly be terminal at this point. However, I'm not positively sure of the details concerning his situation. All I can do is just let you see his physical state as of recent weeks, in which I will show you all. And he's a wonderful R&B performer who has made a great contribution to the R&B world. However, we always wish our brothers and sisters the best. And I don't know what his situation is. I don't know what position he played in terms of in the industry, whether he was a pawn or whatever. I don't know, and I'm not going to comment on that at this point. Only thing I can do is wish him the best, which you can see a recent photo of him, very, very frail and very, very sickly looking, for those who are able to see this photo of the brother. So we wish him the best, and we want to wish him a safe and a healthy recovery. Now I want to talk about this motherfucking piece of shit here. Kermit Gosnell, Dr. Kermit Gosnell up in Philadelphia, who has murdered hundreds and hundreds of black infants in his death camp, which is formerly known as a formal word for it is an abortion clinic or pro-choice life center or some shit like that. And actuality is a fucking slaughterhouse for our young kings and queens, and for trifling mothers who don't want it, who want to get out here. And I'm just going to be straight honest with you. Get out here and lay up with every fucking body. And then when the time comes where a child is conceived in the midst of this madness, you want to commit murder and kill the child. I could respect you more if you gave the child up for adoption to some parents or some adults who are financially and emotionally stable of raising a child or a family. But to go to a club, meet somebody, lay up with them, with some drinks because he bought you some drinks and bought some mollies and took you to get a fucking chicken dinner and a pair of shoes from Payless. You lay up, have a child, one of the precious beauties of the world that God can offer is life. And you go to a nigga like this motherfucker here and let him murder your babies. And this sick motherfucking nigga here who has murdered hundreds of babies, and will not abort any white children. He clearly stated that the white people will call the cops on him, the authorities on him. So he's comfortable with killing black children, and what he does, and this is part of a fucking conspiracy. Well, in his refrigerator at the office, these are babies in these bags that are being refrigerated. And see, no one's going to tell me anything different. And by investigation, he was selling these fetuses to various companies, McDonald's, Revlon, and the pharmaceutical companies, because they take this afterbirth and they take these fetuses and these melanin and these humans and these babies and grind them up. McDonald's is known for having fetuses in their food. And see, when I did the video on McDonald's and how these fast food restaurants were grinding up black fetuses in their hamburger meat, a lot of you didn't want to accept it, so you try to make it appear that it wasn't true because your addiction to eating human flesh has become so fucking overwhelming. Why do you think our children are addicted? Our children. Now add this up. They're grinding children into the meat, feeding it to the children, and the children get addicted to the children that's in the meat that they're eating. Because you can tame any child with a McDonald's meal. But see, a lot of you didn't want to accept it. And this is proof right here. Where do you think these fetuses are going? He had thousands of these. Look at his motherfucking clinic. How trashy, rat infested, nasty, and blood soaked. His equipment, his utensils, his desk, his drawer, his file cabinets, all of it is blood splattered. Because this motherfucker, him and his wife were getting paid. Now this is a full-grown baby that he murdered. He murdered this boy. And see what he would do if a black woman came in there and was 7, almost 8 months pregnant, he would deliver the baby, then murder the baby by taking a pair of scissors and clipping the spinal cord from the neck down of the baby. This is how sickening and sick this motherfucking nigga is. Look at this shit. If you look at in the top corner where you see that hole, that's the back of a baby's head where he make the incision with a pair of regular fucking scissors. While these babies were still alive. Killing these children, killing these babies. This lady here, this sister here who was murdered, she went to have an abortion. And by some account, she lost her life in that nasty fucking slaughterhouse of a clinic. And they did not know where her body was. This was a case that was shoved under the rug for years. Now, if you notice, you can see what color she is. So the search was very, very limited, if any. Because of this motherfucking nigga here. And this is his wife. This is his wife, Pearl Gosnell, who performed these same procedures. Now, this sick piece of shit was charged with 3 counts of murder. He aborted 3 infants that were still alive by cutting their spinal cords. Involuntary manslaughter of a woman, Katamanya Munga, and several of the co-defendants were employees. They were charged with 8 counts of murder and 24 counts of illegal abortions. Now, he had teenage girls performing abortions that had no experience. A lot of them were 14 and 15 years old performing abortions. They weren't even high school graduates performing abortions. You know, and this bitch here, this funny looking motherfucking mud snake looking bitch, Pearl Gosnell, who was involved with this in these nasty slaughterhouses. Kermit Gosnell with 3 counts of first-degree murder. Now, when they ran a search warrant in his house, this motherfucker was playing the piano. He was playing the piano. So when he was charged at his arraignment, this motherfucker had the nerve to say that he needs to get out on bail so he can feed his motherfucking turtles. And the black bitch judge agreed with that. However, he still was not, his bond was, I believe, was $2 or $3 million. Instead of him having no bond for killing all these babies, this bitch agreed with the some animal rights goddamn club, animal rights society, and agreed that someone should take care of his goddamn turtles and ordered that the prosecutor take care of his goddamn turtles who were living in, he was feeding these turtles these babies fetuses. One turtle was the size of a fucking car tire from eating fetuses. And so he's in court playing around, laughing, bullshitting, lollygag, joking until he got sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Here's this faggot motherfucker. And this is my plea to the brothers that are incarcerated in the Pennsylvania prison system. If you see or run across this motherfucker, punish him each and every motherfucking day. Make this old motherfucker suffer. Make him suffer. Do not cut him no slack, no pity or anything. Make this motherfucker suffer. But see, he shouldn't, he's just the fall guy. Because they don't talk about what happened to the fetuses. Who bought the fetuses? Who was he selling the fetuses to? See, if they get rid of him and make him seem like he's solely responsible and the sole culprit of this whole goddamn conspiracy, then no one will inquire about the remains of these babies. And believe me, they did not go into a grave to be buried. Once again, pharmaceutical companies, melatonin, all of that. All of these companies, McDonald's, Pfizer, you know, all of these people who benefit Revlon, where they make lipstick and all these different colors of blush and all this shit from the fetuses, grinding the black fetuses, not white, because crackers don't have any melanin. But they benefited off of this motherfucker. See, that's what made him so comfortable with doing what he was doing. So he needs not to have any air. Press him out. Press him out. Make each day a living hard for this motherfucker. Kermit Gosnell, a dirty motherfucking black devil nigga piece of shit. Old motherfucking dog. Who is an advocate for white supremacy. And his motherfucking stinking wife. Let's talk about somebody that y'all respect so much. Dr. Malachi York. You know, let's discuss this brother. You know, Dr. Malachi York, who is serving a 135-year prison sentence for being a pedophile, child molestation. You know, now, this is a case, just because he's brilliant and he has all this abundance of information and created all this power, does not take away the fact that he's a pedophile. Now, I actually, at one time, thought that this was a total conspiracy until I saw the children that were affected by his actions, that I knew it wasn't a lie. At first I thought, you know, conspiracy may have played some role in it in the ending. But Dr. York is a motherfucking pedophile. He has nearly 100 motherfucking children. Some of his grandchildren are his children as well. Because he impregnated his own children and had children by his children. And see, a lot of niggas can't handle power any long. And I mean, it's hundreds of you niggas. T.D. Jakes, the list goes on and on and on. That a lot of you cannot handle power. Elijah Muhammad. It's just so many of you all that have been blessed with the gift of leadership and information and knowledge. And when people revere you and honor you and put their life in your hands, what you do is take your hands and pull their pants and panties off. And I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't care how powerful you are or whatever your situation is. Your rise to stardom or whatever. Your motherfucking ass is sick. You are a pedophile like the rest of the pedophiles. Because there was no way you would have taken a cop if you were innocent. Whether you were set up or not. No way you would have said, I done this, and took 135 years if you were innocent. I would have, if I was innocent, I would have chosen death. and would have been executed as an innocent man than to sit up here. And one thing you did, you were honest about saying you did do it. But you try to trick the people in thinking that you were railroaded. That's bullshit. Dwight York, who was a singer, R&B singer in the 60s and 70s, and you were preaching, you were studying black consciousness then. And that was part of your transformation from secular music to black consciousness. So you already knew what the industry was about. This is the compound. Let me get a better picture. This is the compound that Dr. York, created down in Putnam County in Eatonton, Georgia. Was awesome. Awesome. Had the real life-size pyramids, Giza pyramids. I mean, it was exquisite in terms of ancient Kemet. It was something that the black community needed. Also, he had paramilitary training grounds on the compound, and outside the compound, Wesley Snipes and Dr. Khalid Muhammad were developing paramilitary training grounds out right on the perimeters, the outer perimeters of the compound. It was called Kermit, and beautiful, beautiful. You cannot take that away from them. However, it needed to be burnt to the ground, just like that New Life Church down in Georgia, in Atlanta, that Jamal Bryant is running, that was formerly Bishop Eddie Long's church. As you can see, Al Sharpton visited the compound frequently, especially on days where they were serving pork chops. He was the first motherfucker down there. And Jesse Jackson visited there, among other people, Wesley Snipes, and hundreds of entertainers, black conscious hip-hop artists, upcoming actors. And hope was given to the black community. But the entire time, Dr. York was fucking with little children. He created his own language, so-called language. He was these various different deities from time to time. And which is nothing wrong with that, because, he was demonstrating that we were the first everything. And aside from all this brilliance and genius that this nigga presented to the black community, fucking with children outweighs it all. Outweighs it all. And the Creator and the ancestors gave you a divine responsibility in the teaching the people in all different religions. Because I remember when they first started out, it was called the Ansura community in Washington, D.C. Where the brothers were on the trains and at the bus stops, engaging in healthy debates and selling incense and oils. And they had a couple of offices and schools here in D.C. And it gave the appearance that a lot of people were beginning to wake up and see things in a different light. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, the information that he provided the black community with, a lot of the information is valid. But the books that he was supposed to have written, over 500 books, were plagiarized, cut and paste from fucking crackers. And see, this is part of the conspiracy. This is part of the brainwashing techniques that we go on, that we engulf ourselves into. Instead of the black man, the black woman looking at themselves. Because I always tell you all, everything that you look for outside of yourself is in you, even God. All you have to do is look within. And it's good to have the information and leaders to reinforce what's already innate in you. But once again, it's innate in you. You don't have to hold anybody's hand to get led to the Creator. When the Creator is in you, because you are a reflection of the Creator, because you are the first that was created. But see, when you put power in niggas' hands, not black leaders, niggas, they're gonna fuck everything around. And see, he thought he could fuck these little children and sex his children up and be looked upon as this deity or God. And it wasn't happening. It wasn't happening. And you still have people defend him to this day. Still defend him to this day. Making up lies, saying he's not in the penitentiary for child molestation anymore. It's income tax evasion and all this bullshit. The man is put away for fucking with children. Because number one, if they didn't have the evidence, he would not be in jail. Number two, if he didn't do it, why did he plead guilty to it? Why did he say, I done this? I did this. And then they try to say he was doped up and sleep deprivation. I could stay up for a fucking week. And you mean to tell me if you are deprived sleep for 3 days, you'll admit to fucking with a child? Nah. Tell that to somebody else. Sentenced to 135 years. You know, Brother Polite, who is a protege of Dr. York's, they still advocating and saying this and that. That's my father and all that. That's cool. I have nothing to do with that. I'm just dealing with what's at hand of him being locked up. Because one thing I don't get into, brothers and sisters, and you know that, you all know this by now, I don't get into that bashing and that, you know, all that old shit, that conscious bashing and whatnot. If you know, I leave that piece alone. I'll only deal with people that are a hindrance to our liberation. And you can see Polite there with one of Dr. York's sons, Prince York, who no one knew about him until Dr. York passed. And this was part of a hustle. That he saw that Dr. York still had a following, although in prison for being a child molester, and his books were still selling. So what better time if one wants to get paid and you are a son or a seed of Dr. York, this is a grand opportunity to get paid. And that's what I think happened, because he's been caught in so many lies and so much controversy that, you know, he's kind of like fading out of the picture. He was also arrested too, because this is Jacob York, who they tried to say that this is Dr. York's, one of his other sons, Jacob, who is a music hip-hop promoter, who they tried to say that he blackmailed Dr. York and coerced a lot of his victims to say that Dr. York molested them. But we're not even talking about those individuals that testified. I'm talking about the babies that testified. Because Jacob York is an established promoter, as you can see with Little Kim and whatnot, and they tried to make it seem like Jacob York was extorting his father. I believed it too, but I found that wasn't the truth. And so he's serving 135 years in Florence, ADX prison. This is Jacob York, his son, who has a problem putting his hands on females and children as well. And children. This is where Dr. York is doing 135 years in a federal penitentiary, Supermax, in Florence, Colorado. 23-hour lockdown. Where the shower is in the cell. You don't come out for anything. 1 hour you go into a dog cage alone for 1 hour. The other 23 hours is spent in this 10 by 8 with a shower that has a timer on it to prevent from the cells being flooded. And so I'll get into a little bit more of Dr. York, but I just want to let you all know the severity of how we have a tendency to give certain people passes based on their information and based on their knowledge. And a lot of you all that still follow him, I have nothing to do with that. I'm only putting out there the truth. And Africa Bambaataa, the same way. The same way. He and Dr. York are good friends. And so Africa Bambaataa is a pedophile and a sex offender. And so KRS-One, defends him. And see, this is what I'm saying. Why do we give some people passes for raping children based on the fact that they've read some books and they know a little something about themselves opposed to others who don't get passes that you wish the worst for, that you want them dead, that they should be murdered and slaughtered and killed and all this shit?